Okay, here we go. Just when we thought we were out, it looks like Kurtzman Trek might still be plaguing us. So this is from Screen Rant. Captain Kirk's Strange New World spin-off status revealed by Star Trek EP in huge update. I guess EP is executive producer, so one of the usual suspects. Let's have a look at what they have to say. Star Trek Strange New Worlds executive producer and co-showrunner Henry Alonso Myers. I'm not sure who he is. I think I've seen his name as early as the early seasons of Discovery, perhaps. So he's got his fingers all over this. Dropped a huge update on Star Trek Year One, their proposed spin off about Captain James T. Kirk, Paul Wesley, and the Starship Enterprise. So Wesley, yeah, I think he's been all right. He's doing I mean from I've seen Strange New Worlds season 1 and 2. Couldn't really be bothered with season 3 to be honest. And he's kind of Shatner-esque, but he doesn't feel like he's doing a bad impression. He feels like he is actually acting, but and it's not his fault. It's just I mean Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, they played those characters for so long that yeah, it's not his fault, but he's not as it's not like Spider-Man or Batman, is it? It's Star Trek. They played them for like 25 years. So I don't blame the actors really for how bad New Trek has been. So, Paul Wesley's done okay. So spin-off about Captain James T. Kirk and the Starship Enterprise. Star Trek Strange New World wrapped its fifth and final season last Christmas, currently in post-production. Let's have a look. Oh, just need to... There we go, that's better. During the promotion for Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3, executive producers and co-showrunners Akiva Goldsman and Henry Alonso Myers revealed they are actively pursuing a Paul Wesley-led spin-off about James Kirk's first year as captain of the Enterprise. Because they don't have any better ideas, they don't have any original ideas, they can't push it forward, all they can do is taser the corpse of what they've got. However, as production of Strange New Worlds Season 5 mounted in the fall, news about Star Trek Year 1 fell by the wayside. Trek Movies' Anthony Pascal caught up with Henry Alonso Myers on the red carpet of the Saturn Awards. Star Trek was honoured with the Hall of Fame. Myers confirmed that he and Goldsman have officially pitched Star Trek Year 1 to Paramount. It's in their hands right now. Don't Paramount have other things to think about, like the merger with Warner Brothers, for example? Henry assures us there's a lot of love for Strange New Worlds and for Star Trek at the studio. There might be a lot of love for Star Trek, perhaps, but for Strange New Worlds, I mean, that could be true, but like considering the viewing figures haven't been very good, I'm not particularly convinced. But let's have a look at what he has to say. Yeah, we've brought them a lot. We've done a lot to give to them. It's in their hands. They're taking a look at it, trying to decide. There's a lot of love for our show, obviously a lot of love for Star Trek. Right, so they've done what they can and they're just waiting for a response, I guess. We think it would be a great show. It's the next thing for Star Trek. It's not really the next thing for Star Trek. It's the first thing for Star Trek. It was done like 60 years ago this year, and all they've got is let's make the same show again. We think it's okay, they're just repeating themselves there. Let's carry on down. One encouraging tidbit he reveals to Trek Movie is that Star Trek's Strange New Worlds sets are still standing. Strange New Worlds filmed at CBS Stages Canada, outside of Toronto. This is a positive sign. Okay, so they've got the infrastructure there and they want to use it. I guess that kind of makes sense in some way. I mean, the problem is that the Strange New Worlds set doesn't really look anything like the original Enterprise, does it? Well, our sets have not been destroyed yet. That's what I can say. That makes this the big decision for them. because it's about, do you hold on to the sets currently? As I said, they have not been destroyed, so we're waiting to find out what they want to do. So I can understand that, if the sets still exist, they're gonna make a play to use them. I suppose financially that does make sense in some way, but creatively, is there anything to be actually gained? Is there any evidence, I mean, in that a Star Trek Year One would be substantially different, substantially more successful than Strange New Worlds hasn't been? Henry Alonso Myers also addressed Trek Movies' question of whether Paramount Plus is waiting to see how Season 4 performs this year before making a decision. It sounds like much hinges on Akiva Goldsman's prowess at negotiating with the studio. The way I tend to look at it, my job is to get post-production done to finish the show. I try not to think about what our partners at the studio have to do because that's a whole other world. Akiva likes to go in and really push hard, and I'm probably more of a softer push, but my heart is where Akiva is. And to be fair, I suppose this is the where Kurtzman Trek has been successful is that it actually exists. That these shows have been greenlit over and over, despite low viewing figures and despite bad reception from fans, despite it being unpopular with classic Trek fans. So, yeah, I suppose they are good at technically getting things greenlit. Finally, regarding Trek Movies' query about whether Henry Alonso Myers thinks the fact there's currently no new Star Trek in production or greenlit for the first time in a decade is a pivot point for Star Trek. Henry says his priority is completing the post-production of Strange New Worlds. That's fair enough, a bit of a politician's answer. Personally, I hope it is a pivot point in that the franchise dies for 5 or 10 years and we come back with something that isn't tainted by the just not very good. Yeah, I mean, I'll be polite and say it's not honestly very good. I mean, there were moments in Discovery that I liked, but overall, it was very much about feelings. It was very much about Michael Burnham, and that was it. Strange New Worlds, I've seen season 1 and season 2, and there's one episode that stands out. It was a time travel episode with Kirk, with Paul Wesley, and with Lieutenant Larn or something like that. I can't even remember the character's name. And they go back in time together, and then they sort it all out by the end of the episode. And it felt like there was actual emotional growth in that episode. But that's the only one that kind of spoke to me in a positive way and actually felt a little bit like proper Star Trek. Okay, so he says, I'm literally working every day on Strange New Worlds, and I'm like, nothing has changed. We have 16 episodes you haven't seen. We have 2 whole seasons we're still working on and will be working on for quite some time. Starfleet Academy is happening at the same time. These things take a long time to do and do well. I want to say it's probably like an 18-month process. So a little bit of information about what Star Trek Year 1 would be. Star Trek Year 1 would be new stories about Captain Kirk's first year aboard the USS Enterprise, set before the original series' second pilot episode, Where No Man Has Gone Before. Okay, so we'd maybe see Gary Marshall and his relationship with Kirk, perhaps. Star Trek Year 1 wouldn't recreate episodes of Star Trek that were made 60 years ago. I mean, that's a very low bar. We're not just going to copy and paste old episodes. Directed by Valerie Weiss and written by David Reed and Bill Wolkoff, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 3, Episode 6, the Sellat Who Ate Its Tail, tells the foundational story of Lieutenant Commander Kirk's first time as acting captain of the USS Farragut. It wasn't a coincidence that Kirk's first time in the captain's chair found him surrounded by his future Enterprise crew: Spock, Scotty, Uhura, Christine Chapel, all of whom would logically return for Star Trek Year 1. So Spock, I think he was treated extremely badly in Strange New Worlds. Basically a figure of fun because he's a bit neurodivergent. He doesn't think in quite the same way, and therefore from what I've seen in the show, he was kind of treated as a bit of a joke. Scotty, I think I only saw 1 or 2 episodes. Uhura and Chapel, just kind of a bit standard girl boss stuff. The actors seem great, but the writing just not there, just not encouraging, just not engaging particularly. Strange New Worlds season 3 episode 6 was so well received, it alleviated a great deal of skepticism about a Paul Wesley led Captain Kirk spin-off. Right, I mean, like I say, I haven't seen season 3, but I think Paul Wesley is fine. I think he's okay. I mean, he's in a really difficult position. Like I've already said, the original series actors and characters are so kind of meshed together in the Star Trek fan imagination that playing Kirk, another actor playing Kirk, it's going to be extremely difficult. The sellout who ate its tail was effectively a proof of concept that Star Trek Year 1 would work. That's a bit of a leap, considering the ratings. Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 continued to build the bromance between Kirk and Spock. Paramount Plus's announcement that Thomas Jane was cast as McCoy, Kai Murakami as Hikaru Sulu, and the duo would appear in Strange New Worlds series finale added fuel to the Year 1 fire. After all, why cast an actor as high profile as Thomas Jane to play Bones McCoy for a 1-episode appearance unless it was groundwork for a potential spin-off? Honestly, I'm not sure who Thomas Jane is. I think I've seen a picture of him, in costume as McCoy, but honestly just didn't know who he was. I mean, this is the thing about prequels. This is why prequels are such a problem. You're hemmed in so badly. I mean, you're hemmed in so badly that Discovery went 800 years in the future. I just see Year 1 having the same problems. What's the point of Year 1 when you've got the original series to watch? For now, the wait continues for Star Trek Strange New Worlds to premiere on Paramount Plus, likely during the summer. The future of Star Trek is a huge question mark as Paramount Skydance decides on what direction to take the 60-year-old franchise. Hopefully, it will include new voyages for Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock in Star Trek Year 1. I mean, it just seems like a completely pointless show. Why? I mean, if Strange New Worlds had had high viewing figures, if it had been popular with fans, then maybe there's an argument to do something, perhaps. But I kind of think it's like Starfleet Academy. Starfleet Academy is an idea that has been knocking around for decades. And the fact that it's finally got made is, for me, a sign that there are no other good ideas from this team of people. So what we've currently got, Starfleet Academy, an idea that's been around at least since the 2000s, finally gets made because there are no other ideas. And the other total non-idea is make stories that come before the original pilot episode with the same characters but played by actors who I'm sure are great people, I'm sure they're wonderful people, but just haven't been well received by the fandom, haven't translated into popular viewing figures. There surely has to be some point at which the finances just stop working. I mean, for me, just let it all go. 5, 10 years, and then bring it back with completely different people and move on to the future instead. I mean, maybe Terry Matalas and Star Trek Legacy. We could do that 10 years from now. I'd watch that. But I'm not going to watch Star Trek Year One. Thanks for watching.